I wanted to begin by asking you the very question I asked during today's Critic Choice conference earlier. I asked the final question about my love for that scene involving items that we leave behind, the written words the women choose to leave behind as artifacts for people to discover. So, if I may ask, what are some of the most important artifacts and/or words that you would leave behind for others to discover more about you and what you value in life?
That was a great question. I heard Bono on the radio the other day,
Mm,
and he said, art is the discovery of beauty in unexpected places.
mm,
And it made me think of the hayloft, and it made me think of the beautiful words left and the photographs, the charcoal drawings, and August's writing, our Bible, our diary, leaving it behind in the hayloft for others to read. And I think that would be my answer. That,
wow.
in the ashes of the 2 days of spending there and all the words that were spoken and all the harrowing stories and the, you know, um, traumatic details of what happened to us, out of that comes beauty.
Yeah.
And, I love that.
Yeah, me too. I do have to mention how much I just adored your character Greta and her lovely stories about Ruth and Cheryl. But
I know. Oh, they were just like, for me, they were just, I just loved being able to bring a tiny little bit of humor
yeah,
to this piece, because I think it's really important to keep that balance in life
sure.
of comedy and tragedy. And it's, in fact, the heavy can be more moving when there is a kind
Very
of
true.
air comes out of the bubble a little bit. So it
Yeah.
was really
Yeah.
important to me.
Agreed. Something that really stood out to me about what you bring to the film, as well as everybody, is that the reactions that everyone has, because it's so much of a intimately set film, and it allows the camera to kind of dance between the characters as they speak and react. And so, do you put as much focus into how you deliver a line as much as you receive one? It's like, what goes into
Oh,
that natural flow?
that's a great question. 100%. And don't forget, we had those cameras floating around us. We did, 11-page scenes over 120 times.
Wow.
And everybody was giving 100% the whole time. So I love listening as much as I love talking, if not more. And
Yeah.
to me, it's an exercise in distilling the moments and being simple and really just listening. We were very aware of that during the film, and everybody was, in other films, you sort of, when you're off camera, you're off camera. This one, never. It was,
Mm.
it was like doing theater. The audience was watching us the whole time.
So what was it like when you watched it for the first time? What did you think about that musicality of the editing between each of you, the rhythm of the reactions?
To be perfectly honest, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe how I look. Like, I got to be honest, like I was going, wow. I
Yeah.
mean, I've been a character actor since the day I was born, but it took me one screening to just go, Judy and I both went, wow, there's a lot of age between the two of us. And we vowed that we went to openings and film festivals and stuff, that we would be so glamorous. You can't even believe it. So it wasn't until the second, third time that I realized what an epic film Sarah Polley has created. When I looked at anybody other than myself, um, I realized not only the performances, but the editing and the score, the musical score,
Yeah.
to me is magnificent. And the bells sounding when there was sort of the assault, just the care, and the landscape, the epic landscape of the film that gives it such size and a universality. I had no idea that was the movie we were making.
Yeah. How do you feel about like all the comparisons being made to like 12 Angry Men?
Yeah, it's funny. Well, because we were virtually sequestered like a jury,
Hmm.
because of COVID,
Yeah.
we were not encouraged to see anybody at night. I mean, we really were living like nuns, and Ben, and we were roomed together. We spent 12 or 13 hours a day together. We were on set every day, all day together. That never happens in a film. Plus the COVID pressure, so we were Eight Angry Women. I love that comparison, but I think it was the world of COVID forced us to be, and it kind of helped,
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, there's so much to, I mean, as we've already realized here, there's so much to discuss with a work like this. It has so many moments that cause you to kind of lean into the conversation being had on screen. And the one that spoke a lot to me, as I've told Sarah before, is the scene where Ona talks about the innocence of young boys before their heads are filled with ideas. And just how she visually articulated that moment by framing up the shot that allows the audience to look straight into the eyes of the young men is really powerful. Could you give me some insight into the conversations you probably had off screen? Because I mean, it had to have been just as much as the words are on screen.
Sarah didn't share that kind of vision with us, like specifically that.
Yeah.
But I do remember the day I had my grandson, and we crawled on the floor, and I hugged him and fed him, and the innocence of that baby before his head would be filled with poison. And I remember feeling that day, it was such a bittersweet, it was a beautiful day to shoot, but the bittersweet quality of looking at that innocent baby and thinking about the story. When I saw the film, and it's also the faces that Sarah chose were so perfect, and they're indelible. Like that to me is almost the most powerful moment in the film of you want to take each of those little boys and say, just be careful. Please learn, please change. And I think that, this movie is the tip of the iceberg in terms of that change. I mean, of that awareness. And, when I read the book even 4 years ago, it didn't feel as relevant as it does today with reproductive rights and Roe versus Wade and Me Too. It's just, it's hot button issues everywhere that we can look to this movie for inspiration,
Yeah. So as you were reading it, were there like specific moments throughout that you were just like, I could see, like, if this movie was made in the present times and it was set during the present times, I could see like how that interaction may go down. There's like a scene with involving a cigarette that just somewhat kind of reminded me of like the arguments that people have on social media and things like that.
Oh, absolutely. And you've got Melvin, the transgender, and you've got Ona deciding to be an independent woman. There's so many Easter eggs, if you will, throughout the film that touch on political issues. Really, it's everything. So, yeah, and I think the universal sort of neutral world of this. It's a foreign world. So for people to be the fly in the wall, looking at us in our strange Mennonite dresses in a hayloft, and they gives a kind of distance to it, and also a way in, to relate to. And you think, well, this is a foreign world. In the first 20 minutes, you think, am I going to be able to relate to this particular world? And then you do, because the issues are universal for men and women.
Yeah.
And I think my takeaway from the film is, people have stories, and stories need to be told. And I'm hearing stories from people seeing the movie now, and people not being able to talk after the film because they work in women's shelters, and it's like the movie was made just for them. And I just love that. I love the resonance of that. I think it's super important, and I love that people are going to be talking about this movie, Women Talking.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. So it's awesome to be part of something that matters.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I know we're about to run out of time, but there was a thing that was brought up during the Q&A that I thought was kind of fun, and it was so I guess speaking of things that were happening off screen, during the Q&A, Sarah spoke about the conditions happening off screen. So like she very funnily said that it was witchcraft that was going on with the knitting and babysitting and the duties
Yeah.
everyone took
Oh
on. So
yeah.
I'm curious
Yeah.
about the role that you took on during the off period and how you may have like taken turns of like the activities that y'all did.
Oh, and we were all in this room with plexiglass between us and the dogs. And, I think I was sort of the quiet one. First of all, to be working with a cast like this, I was, very much fangirl for the first while, like, to have
Oh yeah.
their boy washing my feet in the first scene. Well,
Mm,
wow. So it took me a while to get over that and just sort of, relax into it. But, I was pretty quiet during most of the movie. I mean, and so it was fun and it was also respectful. But oh yeah, we had a whole corner with tarot cards and the black ball and and to have all the generations together. It was just, yeah, it was a sorority with Ben.
yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad you brought up the washing of the feet because that moment just really grabbed me because of the simple pleasures that they took in the
Yeah.
support system. It was just so
No,
beautiful.
yeah. And even though we've only got 48 hours, it unfolds as though we have 48 years to talk about
Yeah.
this. And then we're singing full hymns, and we're patient. We'll get to our decisions with patience and hopefully calm.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, this was incredibly meaningful for me to have this conversation with you just because the movie meant so much to me. And so
Thank you.
thank you so much for your time. I know it's been a long day,
Oh
so
no,
it's
I love it. And
awesome.
you know what? It's really wonderful for me to talk to a man about this too, not to, narrow the field, but
Yeah.
for someone who gets it, that just makes, yeah, it's fantastic.